Don Poyer along with Jim Henrik again back at Marine Stadium in Miami. No, these are not the Unlimiteds. These are 7-liter limited boats, roughly 20 feet in length, a minimum of 1,600 pounds, and they are powered by automotive engines, usually a 427 Chevy or Ford or 440 Chrysler, and they're reaching speeds of up to 140, even 160 down the straightaways. They really move, and this is the final step before going up to the Unlimiteds for the drivers. In fact, an Unlimited driver is required to have at least 50 heats of 7-liter experience under his belt before he can make the step up to the big boat. The man in front here in the $10,000 Alamo Rent-A-Car Merc Cruiser Grand Prix in Miami is Chuck Woodruff. That's him there in the J-boat, the Southern Seven. An experienced driver, believe it or not, 3 years ago, he was involved in an accident which left him paralyzed from the waist down. But through perseverance and sheer intestinal fortitude, the man not only was able to walk, but he was able to race again. A great story on the part of Chuck Woodruff. In second place is Dee Wisely, the driver of the Prime Mover out of St. Petersburg, Florida. This final featured 8 boats running 4 laps and going for the $2,200 first prize. And the checkered flag awaits Chuck Woodruff in the Southern Seven out of Hollywood, Florida. Southern Seven the winner. Then came payday. Roger Bigham on the left from Alamo Rent-A-Car presenting that check for $2,200 to Chuck Woodruff. On the right, race chairman and owner of the second place boat Prime Mover, Al Vordemeyer, with a trophy for Chuck Woodruff, and our congratulations to him, the winner of the $10,000 Alamo Rent-A-Car Merc Cruiser Grand Prix. There are lots of ways to spend a Sunday afternoon in Miami. Lots of ways. Back in a moment. Back at Marine Stadium, we understand Floridians know their hydroplanes, so it's time for a little investigative reporting. Who do they like in the final today?
I'd like to see Miller win. I think they got the best boat out there with the turbine motor on it.
Frank Kenny.
Yeah, Frank Kenny all the way.
All the way.
Speedy Prain's gonna do it.
Ian Zachatone.
I'm looking for Miller American. All right.
1, 2, 3. Miss
Bud didn't qualify for today's race, but we do have a test run. A chance to see this beautiful new Ron Jones design boat with that enclosed cockpit. Great safety for driver Jim Cropfeld. We'll see much of it in the future. And nobody visits Miami without sending home a postcard. A beautiful city. In Miami, Leif Borgeson is entering his first final in 10 years.
No, it's been a long time, Don. I got to go play with the big boys now. I got to guess I got to go fast again.
Andy, I know the arms are tired. How you feel?
I'm doing okay. We're going out there again to be rather conservative on the whole thing, and we're going to actually see what happens.
Still a fun weekend?
It's an interesting weekend.
Chip, how about the first final of the year?
I'll let you know in about 10 minutes.
Scotty, any word about the final?
You guys know that I don't care if you break an engine on this heat.
We're going for it, for everything there is.
A thunderstorm is hanging over downtown Miami. We'll be hard-pressed to get this final in. Here's your rundown. American Speedy, Kenny Toyota, Executone Telephones, Miller American, and Miss 7-Eleven. The final is at hand. Don Poyer along with Jim Henrik back in the pits at Marine Stadium in Miami. Money's on the table. The final is here. Leif Borgeson getting ready for the final. Here's Steve Reynolds getting aboard the 7-Eleven Unlimited hydroplane, hoping to get another victory. He won in Houston, the last race of 1984. Scott Pierce and the Executone Telephones with 400 points today on his way to the battlefield for today's final in Miami. Borgeson is a man to be reckoned with here in the final. A very cool, keen man out on the course. We'll see how he does. The most consistent driver has been Andy Coker with 2 second-place finishes in the American Speedy Printing. He's in the final. Leif Borgeson, Rookie of the Year in 1969, now with Kenny Toyota Volvo. 30-year-old Scott Pierce, who won the same award in 1981. Three-time Gold Cup winner Chip Hanauer in the Miller American, hoping to end the day on a positive note. And Seattle native Steve Reynolds of the Miss 7-Eleven, rounding out the final five. Jim Lucero along with Chip Hanauer. Lucero the co-owner of the Miller American, and I don't think he likes what he sees. They've got trouble down there in the pits. The four other boats are out on the course. They had a solenoid problem earlier. Hanauer waiting to get the go-ahead. And oh my, just like auto racing, anytime you open the hood, that's trouble. And I don't know if we're going to have them there or not. The four boats out on the course certainly aren't going to wait. Kenny Toyota Volvo on the way outside behind Steve Reynolds and the 7-Eleven coming down the straightaway now. He'll have to slow down, it appears. Very low right now in speed is the 7 to stay inside the gun. He just made it. A good start for the 7-Eleven. But in the meantime, on the inside is the Executone Telephones with Scotty Pierce. Going into the east turn, a better speed for the Executone Telephone. Scotty Pierce hit the start right on the button. A good high speed, open lane going into the east turn. In second place, 7-Eleven with Steve Reynolds. Third place, Leif Borgeson and the Kenny Toyota Volvo. Fourth place is Andy Coker in the American Speedy Printing. You can see him on the inside coming around the turn now past the exit buoy and down the back chute. Scott Pierce finds himself in first place in the finals here in Miami. And there is no sign of the Miller American. I don't see Chip Hanauer out on the course anywhere, so it's a four-boat race here in the finals. Coming around the second turn on the first lap, Scott Pierce in his 5th year of unlimited hydroplane racing, hoping to pick up his first victory in the Unlimited. Very successful in the limited boats, but now a chance to grab it all here in Miami. Back in fourth place, Andy Coker in the American Speedy Printing. There's the distance between first and second place. That turbine engine does not sound good on the 7-Eleven. You can hear the rumbling inside, and that's not a good sign anytime you're driving with a turbine. Leif Borgeson in the Kenny Toyota in lane number 3 and in third place. Fourth place, Andy Coker. Again, you can see now, this time it's Leif Borgeson cutting into the inside, trying to cut down the distance between himself and the leaders. Danny High, crew chief of the Executone Telephones. His brother right next to him cheering on Scott Pierce. And a chance to get, of course, 400 points, but more importantly, the trophy here in the Budweiser Miami Unlimited Hydroplane Regatta. Chip Hanauer, that confirms it, a spectator for the second time today in 3 races. He'll have to wait until Syracuse this next Sunday. Scotty Pierce widening his lead against Steve Reynolds. A natural rivalry between these two drivers, always has been. Good friends, but strong rivals on the course. Third place, Leif Borgeson. That boat performing as well as it ever has and picking up more valuable national points. The Executone Telephone. Scotty Pierce driving as well as he ever has. As we said earlier in the show, getting his first hot ride. And it looks like, as you can see from the helicopter, that Reynolds is coming around the outside and cutting down the lead a bit between himself and the Executone. Scotty Pierce, what a story. Started go-kart racing back when he was only 5 years old. By the time he was 12, he had picked up 7 national titles. It's getting choppy out on that west turn as they come down the main chute now. Scott Pierce holding on, first place. And Steve Reynolds, you simply have to assume he would have more power if that boat was healthy. Right now, second place, and third place, still Leif Borgeson and Kenny Toyota. Miami behind on the backdrop, and you see the skid pin spraying the water up high as they go around the east turn. Again, the lead looking better and better for Scotty Pierce. His wife Jan is in the pits. Their young daughter Jamie. Oh, what a happy day this will be if this story ends the way it looks right now. Pierce coming around the turn, driving exceptionally well. He worked all winter with the crew, preparing engines. They were probably the most prepared team coming into the 1985 Miami race. Spending all winter getting those Merlin engines ready. Nice shot of Steve Reynolds in the Miss 7-Eleven coming around in second place. Still in third place, Kenny Toyota. And Scott Pierce steady ahead of Steve Reynolds. Third place, Kenny Toyota. And we're getting down to crunch time. Crunch time with the drivers, too. Very choppy in the east turn now as those four boats are kicking it up. And Steve Reynolds in the 7-Eleven is going dead in the water. Reynolds' day will come to an end in the east turn here at Marine Stadium. He had hoped to pick up where he left off, taking that victory in Houston in the last race of 1984, but this is where it'll end in 1985, and he'll have to wait until Syracuse next Sunday. Steve Reynolds waving that he's all right. Yeah, that says it all. For Scotty Pierce, 5 years of driving four boats, doing everything, driving the truck, working on the engines. He is on his way to his first career victory in the Unlimiteds and the first victory for the sponsor, Executone Telephones, a winner in Miami. Here are the final results. And of course, the points on the right represent national points. So as you see, Executone Telephones won the race today, but American Speedy Printing is the national point leader. Kenny Toyota with 400 points, the 7-Eleven, none yet, and Miller American failing to appear in 2 out of 3 races. A tough day for Chip Hanauer and company. On to the winner's circle, and Scott Pierce, the new Miami champion.
Great field winner, baby.
Scott, take your helmet off. You did it, young man. You did it. First riding the Executone Telephones, and you already got yourself a championship here in Miami.
5 long years.
5 years for this program. You're right for Executone
5
Telephones.
long years.
How did it feel out there?
Oh, it felt great. I was so happy I could cry.
Go ahead and cry. There's nothing wrong with that.
My dad, he's up there in heaven. I wouldn't be here without you, and I love it. I just love it. My wife, she's done everything, supported me. We had no money. Now we have some money.
You did a great job of holding off a big field, too.
Well, this is gonna be a tough year. The Miss Budweiser, the Miller, the 7-Eleven, they're the cream of the crop. But boy, I tell you, the phone was ringing today, and it's gonna ring again.
Congratulations. Scott Pierce, winner here in Miami, and we'll be right back after this. 1 out of 9 races in 1985 is now over, and Scotty Pierce, his first victory, first Executone Telephone's first victories. Jim?
And I think the rest of the fraternity of Unlimiteds could be happier for Scotty Pierce, but I'll say one thing. They're all going to be ready from Syracuse the rest of the year for this guy.
That's right.
And we're going to have a lot better racing to come.
Syracuse next week, and we'll be there. I hope you'll join us. For Jim Henrik, I'm Don Poyer. Thanks for being with us, and so long.
Air transportation has been provided hydroplane.